What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I sincerely hope everybody can get refocused by the new year. I don't know if that's going to happen, but last night, I think there's been a lot of subtle frustration coming from one side of people who still want, who are still mostly interested in, the midterm elections coming up and this and that. And the other side of people who are enthralled in, true crime. And I want to be clear that I think both, obviously, forms of content are totally acceptable and fine. I'm not ignorant of the fact of why Candace's true crime on Charlie Kirk has exploded the way that it has. But there's also those of us that are recognizing it's tearing the right apart, and at least the online right, but it's definitely leaking into IRL as people are talking about it on the streets, which is great for Candace. And I guess the argument, it would be fair to say, well, I mean, she's allowed to cover whatever she wants. And I think that that's true. I mean, she has 150,000 people a day tuning in live, many more, in vlog or in VOD format, to her series on Charlie Kirk, which has run endlessly since his assassination. We are now reaching month 4 of episodes every single day, making accusations of about 100 different people, groups, and things, none of which have bore out, at least yet. People who are extremely interested in this side of the story, they keep telling me any minute now, and the walls are closing in. Well, maybe that's true. But when you look at the criticism that she's getting, I think I understand both sides. Look, Candace can do whatever she wants to do, and I don't think it's fair of people like me or Tim to be annoyed or critiquing the fact that this is how she's wanted to take her brand. She's entirely allowed to do that. But I think with the Turning Point USA stuff, it just feels a little bit more damaging to the bigger picture of conservatism and the good guys winning. And the Republicans already had a huge uphill battle going into the midterms in 2026. And now basically with everything going on with Turning Point versus Candace Owens, there will be many reasons why Republicans lose midterms, most of the economy, but this certainly isn't helping. There was a point on September 10th where we were all united against the radical left. And then since then, now, we're all talking about how evil Turning Point USA is with no evidence, of course, but that's where the online conversation has gone. The organization that was the single largest factor in Donald Trump's getting reelected. I mean, in terms of organizations that were pushing for this, we're now turning on them. They're the bad guys. The brand is stained because of everything Candace has accused them of. Now, if she is right about it, let it be stained. Okay. But so far, in almost 4 months, she's provided 0 receipts other than how things look or feel to her. And this is, I'm sure, driving membership down. I'm sure that it's making people less proud to be a part of TPUSA. And people like myself and Tim are annoyed by it. And I would say that, look, I don't think I ever even made a video. Maybe I made one video about Candace and her Macron storyline, and I think it was positive. Now, I think she's going to lose that lawsuit, but actually, as every day goes by, I become less sure about that. She might end up winning. I didn't care about her Britney Spears coverage or any of this, or Justin Baldoni coverage. You didn't see people on the right attacking Candace because of those videos. It's because she's very clearly hell-bent on destroying TPUSA and, by extension, Charlie Kirk's entire legacy, which is why people are attacking her. And now it's boiling over to where you have Tim Pool exploding on his show last night in front of 40,000 people, calling out what Candace is doing as dividing the right. Now, Candace has, again, no responsibility to, unite people on the right or to support a political candidate. She has no responsibility to cover any content anybody wants. But she has a huge platform, and it's, I think, important to point out that this is damaging. And this is going to be one of the major factors if this stuff doesn't get wrapped up by the new year on why Republicans lose the midterms. Maybe they're supposed to, maybe they should, right? Maybe they should. I don't know. But last night, Tim said this. First Candace Owens said, lol, I love this challenge. We have never used bots, nor did we spend a single dollar on advertising. We took $0 from investors. After my highly publicized firing, we made the conscious decision to come back truly solo. Team of 4 on the podcast, including me, and just one person in ads. We actually take a major compliment because this person, Project Constitution, completely lies about what Tim said. He said Tim Pool spends entire segment coping and seething about Candace Owens beating him and blames bots and claims he never used bots. Again, he didn't make that claim. We never said you use bots. It's a fake post. We're talking about Twitch having bot problems and how people boost their shows to get status and claim high rankings. I've consistently explained that your show is appealing to a larger audience and women as it's dramatic and emotional. Dig. I believe that her audience is 100% real. I think that there's a lot of people interested in this story who don't even know anything about TPUSA or aren't interested in politics. Wine moms are a massive demographic, and that's probably who mostly watches Candace Owens. Wine moms and groypers. But when you combine those two groups of people, it's a lot of people. She gets more views of an episode in a day than I get all week. And the problem is her only, people aren't saying they're fake viewerships. They're saying that she's being reckless. And she was, hey, Tim, so you might not be aware about the amount of time, but the amount of time you've been dedicating to reacting to my show is coming across a little emotional and dramatic. This is what she wants. She wants everyone talking about her. I can't open up X without Candace trending, and kudos to her for that. I just literally can't not talk about it. People could tell me they're sick about it all day, but every time I open the internet, it's all anyone's talking about. They're not talking about, the J6 pipe bomber getting arrested this morning. They're talking about frigging Candace Owens. She has immense clout and immense power, and she's using that to dismantle a company that I believe does far more good than evil, and nobody has proven any claim she's made about them. So then Tim Pool says, say my name, Candace, and then pastes his invoice to Z Jews. There's a lot of people who are fans of Candace that are like, oh, you're targeting. Listen, she's got the biggest podcast in the world, and she's using it to tear the right apart. She is no different than the Young Turks, in my opinion. Okay? So I am going to critique her. You didn't see me critiquing her when she was talking about Britney Spears or Brigitte Macron. So if you're butthurt about it now, understand the difference. And if you're incapable of understanding the difference, then you weren't interested in actually understanding it in the first place. Nobody was blasting her for covering Justin Baldoni. People are saying, listen, lady, you've proved nothing in almost 4 months of nonstop attacks on TPUSA, B cults, trapdoors, all this stuff. All you want is attention. And last night, Tim completely exploded.
It's Huey says, burn everything I have to the ground and throwing it to the window is not helping. And it's going to rip out the coffers on the right.
Yep.
There is no organization like Turning Point that exists anywhere else.
Nope.
That has the resources and the reach. And without Charlie, I'm not sure that they can make it. But I can tell you this, Candace lighting a Molotov and throwing it to the window is not helping. And it's the most demoralizing thing ever.
He's right. Now, again, Candace is allowed to cover what she wants to cover. Okay. But that does not mean Tim's wrong about this. I 100% agree with him. The rhetoric on the right for the past 4 months has not been violent leftists. It's been TPUSA The people that are actually going out and door knocking. How many people who are criticizing TPUSA have ever door knocked? Did you door knock for President Trump? Did you door knock for, your Supreme Court votes? I did. And you know who I did it with? Turning Point USA. Okay? Nobody is mobilizing people like Turning Point USA. And everybody's forgotten that because Candace Owens says everyone's snowed.
Additionally, all of the fucking cowards on the right who are too scared to say anything about her because she tweets at me talking shit or whatever, and then a bunch of people come and flood our chat. I could give a single flying fuck. You can come and you can burn everything I have to the ground, and I will happily live in a van down by the river.
Now, granted, Tim probably has $50 million in the bank. That's be one hell of a van.
I don't care to be number one. I don't need to be number one.
That's also a false narrative. I know Tim. I've talked to Tim. In our private conversations, he has never once talked about, how his show rates and ratings against other shows. This is just a cope. People, you're just jealous. No, I know Tim isn't. I know he isn't because I've talked to him.
What I care about is what is true and what will help this country and what works. And she is a fucking scumbag.
I agree.
And she's getting worse every day. And she crossed the line. She continually crosses the line every day, insinuating that Turning Point literally killed the guy who made them all rich.
Correct. This is another quote from her cult. Like, she's never said that. Yes, she has. She has insinuated it about 1,000 times. If you are, going to be in my comment section saying she never said that, you're lying. She has. She's outright insinuated it directly numerous times.
And I hear this in the streets, and it's at a certain point, I'm like, holy shit, we're going to lose the midterms.
We are.
We're going to lose the midterms. Then we're going to lose in 2028. And it's because she's a piece of shit. Because instead of saying, guys, let's come together and figure out how to work together, she says the stupidest retarded crap. And now everybody's running around divided and broken. For what reason? For literally what reason? Now, guess what? I'm not on the best of terms with Turning Point either. In case you didn't remember, they didn't invite us this year.
He's not exactly
it's become a
simping.
big thing or whatever. I have nothing. I can say I know what they are. I know what they do, and I'm glad they do it. And if we don't get along, so be it. I don't know that they make it without Charlie, whatever. But what is the purpose of intentionally fanning the flames for 3 endless months of just nonstop retard shit? Candace? Holy crap. Initially in the beginning, she brought up some interesting things. New photos had emerged, and I said, wow, I even said this to Andrew Colvett at Turning Point at the beginning of October.
Well, now she's basically reduced to releasing 5, 6, 7-year-old texts and pretending to fake cry. We lost. Candace won. She's got the ears. I can't convince anybody who's been watching her that they're partaking in anything damaging. It's like trying to convince somebody their favorite TV show is bad. Like, there's just no convincing these people. And if anyone's getting paid or incentivized to destroy the right, it's Candace Owens, at least in my opinion. I don't know, but I know. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.